Ric Flair's last match and the card that went with it. Now, Brandon, I saw that you were quite the fan of this entire card. Ric Flair's last match this past weekend. I guess, what do you make of it? What are your takeaways from this past weekend?
So I absolutely enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good pay-per-view. I will say though, you get what you pay for when it comes to the main event. I predicted it. I thought it would be a Jay Lethal, Andrade kind of carrying things because Jeff Jarrett could do some things, but all Rick could really do is do chops and throw punches and do it do the figure four. That was all they could do. He wasn't really doing the thing that kind of bugged me a little bit was they were teasing this high spot that never happened.
Well, I think, and the high spot that was talked about a lot of times too was, wasn't that turned down by Charlotte? Didn't Charlotte tell her dad she didn't want him to be doing that high spot?
I see. I didn't hear that, so I didn't hear that report out there. But that could definitely be true. I just was disappointed because we talked last week before we were talking about it, and they talked about the crossbody he was going to throw off the top rope. Mm-hmm. I was looking forward to seeing that because he's 73 years old. I wanted to see it.
Well, he did bleed. I will say that much. He did bleed a lot in that match.
Well, yeah, he definitely bled. It
is kind of cringeworthy, though. I will say this much. Watching Ric Flair, it is kind of actually, it wasn't great. It was more or less it was tough to watch because you saw the footage of him all sewn up and stapled up and, on his deathbed just a couple of years ago. So it was very tough in that sense to watch, especially when he was starting to bleed, because I've known some old people, and believe me, if they bled, it was a much bigger deal than if me or you bleed because of blood thinner reasons and medications.
Just the fact that he's gone through what he's gone through, and he's not exactly a spring chicken anymore.
Yes,
I will say though, he went on his own terms, so I respect that. I thought the rest of the card was actually really good. I enjoyed. I like the Motor City Machine Guns. That was a good match with the Wolves. That was fun. I enjoyed that.
It was a good card, and you had to have a whole card go with it, kind of.
What'd you think about the Briscoes and Von Erichs? What'd you think about that? I thought that was a pretty good match. It wasn't FTR Briscoes, but it was still a good match.
It's cool to see the Briscoes. It's crazy. The Briscoes, that's a whole nother story for another day.
We could do a show on the Briscoes.
Just how much they've done outside of never being in WWE. How long I saw the Briscoes the very first time I ever saw them in person, and I think I've seen them in person a few times since. But 2007, I went to the Ring of Honor show that accompanied WrestleMania weekend for WrestleMania 23 in Detroit. And it's crazy to think about how long ago that was.
They've been in the business a long time.
Yeah.
They really have. I will say this.
15 years ago, and they were in Ring of Honor then.
And they put bangers on. To me, it still boggles my mind that they haven't gotten a run in WWE.
What do you make of Killer Cross's new look?
I don't mind it. I thought for what it was, I thought he looked good. I thought Davey Boy Smith looked. That match was also really good. It was a nice quick match. 5 minutes, I'll take it. You don't need to have everything be in 20 minutes. And actually, the only match that went more than 12 minutes was Ric Flair's match. Everything else
and
was
I think
short.
for good reason, because, there's a lot of cards like these Ring of Honor cards and these other maybe kind of indie shows that accompany SummerSlams and WrestleMania weekends that have really good matches. But I feel like this was mostly about appearances by these guys and kind of seeing, some of these guys on the card. But it was mostly about Ric Flair and his final match. So you didn't need the Briscoes and FDR to put on a banger because essentially nobody wants to steal the show on a card like this because you want this to be remembered for Ric Flair's last match. You don't want this to be remembered for you. It's like a tribute to them. You're happy to be a part of it.
But there was some gems there. The four-way match was great. Ray Phoenix, Bandito, Laredo Kid, Black Taurus. That was good. That was fun.
See, it's one of those, like I said, it's one of those kind of weird cards where these people want to be a part of the show, but at the same time, also maybe they do need to put on. I'm not saying they put on crappy matches. They put on good enough matches so that if Ric Flair's match didn't perform, which again, this is a late 70-year-old man, so odds are that it might not.
You mean early 70s? He's not almost 80 yet. He's getting there. He's 73.
73. All right. So it's hard to pay attention with him. Vince's age, his age.
I know everybody's getting old.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's one thing you can't beat is Father Time. Father Time will kick you right in the ass, and you could tell Ric Flair just. He just looked. They said his cardio was what it was. They were trying to sell that up, but he had no cardio. He looked gassed the entire time, and did
not have the shirt off.
No, No, and that's the thing. He just looked like an old man. He didn't look like the Ric Flair even the Ric Flair in '08. He didn't look like this at all. And you know what? I'm not gonna dog on him too much. The guy's 73. He wanted to go out there and have a match. By all means, you're Ric Flair. You're the freaking legend. You're the Nature Boy. By all means, go ahead.
I know
that.
a lot of these wrestlers are part of many of our late 20, early 30 people's childhoods. But one person that was part of my childhood, and we talk about age, I was watching last night with a friend. We were watching all the old 90s talk shows that we could find on YouTube. And we looked up Sally Jesse Raphael. She is 87 years old.
Are you serious? She's 87?
87. I mean, I remember coming home from school at 4 p.m. or whatever and putting on Sally Jesse, and she had like Out of Control Teens, and they all did. Jenny Jones, her, Geraldo, the whole 9 yards. But yeah,
people forget Geraldo had his own TV show back in the day.
Well, I mean, he's probably the only one that's still kind of kicking around because he still is a television guy.
He's still in.
He's still a personality. Well, the Donahues of the world, they're long since retired, but it's crazy to think 87 years old.
God bless her. Yeah, I mean, that's God bless her. I will say this too. Speaking of another elderly gentleman, what did you think of our tag team match with the Rock and Roll Express? How about that with Ricky Morton, huh? I mean, he looked, I got to say, Ricky Morton actually, for as old as he was, or is?
Yeah.
I don't want to say that in the past tense. As old as he is, he actually looked pretty good.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was kind of cool. Obviously the Four Horsemen thing. With Arn Anderson's kid and Brian Pillman Jr. part of that. I mean,
Pillman's going to be a star. I don't care. Pillman's a star.
The card had a little bit of everything. The gimmick was obviously you weren't going to pay just to see Ric Flair's last match for a couple reasons. One, nobody wants to pay to see one match, and nobody wants to pay to see one match where you're not 100% sure what you're going to get.
Here's the thing too, and you just hit on something.
So it was nice you had all the other stuff going on.
Here's what I liked. You had so many different promotions involved, and the thing that I really liked from a broadcasting perspective, because hey, that's what we do.
The old 80 Jim Crockett gimmick.
Well, yeah, the whole Crockett gimmick, but every match that was affiliated by a certain company, they had their voice on the. You saw
Ian Riccaboni and stuff like that.
Yeah, you got to see what's his face, the old WWE guy, the young kid there.
Tom Phillips. Forget what name he goes by now.
Yeah, I just call him.
He's an Impact guy now.
Yeah, I always call him Tom Phillips because Chris Jericho used to make fun of him. He used to call him by a different name every time he talked to him. You have to go back and watch that. So I think he called him like Tom Phillips or something.
I didn't know he was important enough to ever get talked about like that. But all right, I'll have to look back on it.
Chris Jericho gave him.
I will say I didn't care for like the music. It was a little gimmicky. The whole the theme music they had. It was very like dancey.
You know what I didn't like though?
I wanted something a little more.
Why do I have
ominous.
to see Cody Rhodes 3 or 4 times in the show?
Seriously, like
I don't need to see the same clip over and over.
Yeah,
that was annoying.
That was kind of annoying that they, were doing like the farewells and we saw Cody Rhodes clip a decent amount of times.
We saw a few of them. Sting was a couple times too.
I think though I might have been right here, and I think you might have been wrong in the sense of, again, I don't have it in front of me exactly. Well, maybe I do have it in front of me. I can look it up to see if it's part of this little list here. It's not, but I can just tell by the camera angles and the way we're looking at it. Yeah, I don't think that place was sold out. It was very. I mean, because I feel like if that was a full crowd, one thing in the world of wrestling, one thing I've learned in the world of wrestling is whenever there is a full crowd, lights are on it. Whenever it looks dark and they're only highlighting certain spots, it's because it is not a sold out crowd or a full crowd. So I mean, I don't know what's close, but I can definitely tell you. Obviously, the lower level was full. But, it was a fine crowd nonetheless. Like, it was worthy of moving it from the fairgrounds to the arena. Cool enough. I would have definitely went. It didn't have a WWE presentation. I will just say that much.
I liked it.
It didn't even have an AEW presentation. It had like an Impact pay-per-view kind of.
I didn't mind it though. I really didn't mind the aesthetics to it. I thought it was different. I thought it was cool. I thought from start to finish, minus a few things, with like showing the tributes of like Cody Rhodes, Sting a few times too many. Actually, you just got to do it once. That's all you got to do. Do it once, you're good. Besides that, I thought they did a good job. They had Crockett on there. You had Shivani. So the third man on the mic, so to speak.
No, I didn't mind it really.
It was cool because I remember growing up watching Nitro, and the thing that I liked was when they would switch announce teams. Halfway through the show. I liked it because every match had they had the two guys, Shivani and Crockett, but you brought in the other party, which was whatever company the match was being represented by. That's who you brought in. So I got to see some voices that I've never seen before. So that I never got to put a face to it.
What do you make of the star? I mean, I guess worthy of kind of going by itself. Just an interesting thing you don't get with WWE shows is the star-studded front row. You had the Undertaker. You know, I don't know.
Kid Rock made his rounds too. Apparently,
he was at all the shows all weekend long.
But it was a little bit less controversial at Ric Flair's. He just kind of was there.
Yes. Well, I don't know if it was really controversial.
Well, they were like, okay, let me. He got social media buzzing the way he was kissing.
That other country lady, comedian.
I don't know who that is.
I think she's like a comedian or something.
I should probably know who that is, but I don't know who that is. I thought it was like there was a gif of this girl going like the. Yeah. Like people were like, oh, it looks like her.
She's like a gimmick, but with the Undertaker, I mean, when's the last time you saw the Undertaker front row at a wrestling show? He's either at a wrestling show in the back or he's at a wrestling show in the ring. He's not normally a spectator. I've seen him at UFC a few times, but yeah.
How cool though that he was sitting next to Mick.
Yeah,
that was cool. And if you look behind them, you got Diamond Dallas Page behind him, and Dallas Page got to do a cutter on the show. That was fun.
I found it weird that we didn't see like Charlotte like in the front row or anything like that. We saw his other kids and his other family.
I wonder if maybe WWE had something to do with it. I
mean, Undertaker. I mean, last I remember, even though he's retired, he still obviously has. I guess maybe Undertaker is just one of those. He's retired, but he can do whatever he can do whatever he wants. I guess that's the thing. What is WWE going to do about it?
True. I mean, it's the Undertaker. I mean,
but it was. I guess it was kind of weird because you I'm focused on him when Ric Flair's like right outside the ring by him, and you like look at his facial expressions, and he's just kind of got these like facial expressions like, you know, you're just like one, like he doesn't want to be there. Two, he's uncomfortable that Ric Flair's like bleeding. Three, he doesn't want to be on camera because again, he's so used to being the Undertaker all those years and talking about that was his gimmick, and now like he's on camera, so he's more or less like. His wife, she's got the camera out, taking pictures, the whole 9 yards. But the Undertaker's kind of like, yeah, I'm here, but you know.
I don't. Here's the thing, though. I don't think. I mean, Undertaker's not a big social media guy, anyways.
Yeah.
So I feel like he. I bet you I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't have a flip phone or if he had one recently.
Well, what do you make of Mick Foley being there? And I was waiting for like a hug, which didn't. The Undertaker, that was a great hug between him and Flair at the end there. Not really so much with Mick Foley. He gave a little more to Bret Hart, who was also there.
Yeah, I saw Bret. Yep.
But you know, you kind of wonder because remember, Ric Flair always had negative things to say about Mick Foley. You know, glorified stuntman, not a real professional wrestler. I don't know for sure if they've ever mended their fences when it comes to that. I guess. Maybe they have because Mick Foley chose to be there.
Yeah, well, yeah. But if Mick's there, obviously they're fine.
Of all the people, though, to be sitting front row, I mean, I guess Mick Foley and him have not really seen eye to eye. I don't even think. I don't know if they've been in the ring together. They probably have, obviously, as old as they both are. But it's just one of those. There's been people I feel that are more instrumental involved in Ric Flair. I'd like to see the more Ricky Steamboats, I guess, of the world to be sitting in the...
Yeah, I didn't see Ricky.
The Mick Foleys of the world. Yeah, and again, it made it kind of cringy at the end when you're like, is he going to hug him? Because I don't remember if they get along now.
I got to ask you, what was your thoughts on getting Conrad Thompson involved by throwing the Nux in? Did you like that? I thought that was different.
Yeah.
He threw it over to Andrade. Andrade took care of things and gave it to Rick, and Rick laid him down, laid the Nux on Double J, and it was the finish. I didn't mind. The match itself was kind of blah, but I did like the finish for what it's worth.
I guess we'll finish it right here when you're speaking of Conrad Thompson. The weekend they had StarCast going on all weekend. Apparently, Conrad Thompson brought up to Mick Foley and other people about the suggestion of maybe some other last match pay-per-views down the line. Maybe like a Mick Foley's last match.
I don't see Mick Foley doing
it. Or a Booker T's last match.
Booker, I can see. Mick doesn't have the body. Mick's had, and you know this. Mick had a lot
doesn't have the body. Ric Flair, come on now.
Yeah, but I think Mick from a bone structure and yes, Rick freaking almost died. Yes, I get that. But from a physicality perspective, he still can move around good. Mick can barely walk. You know what I mean? You don't want a guy in there that can barely walk. I remember when he was in Syracuse. I think he was talking about his hip issues and stuff. So, I mean, that's something I don't think would happen. I mean, anything could happen in wrestling, I guess, but I don't see that happening. Booker T recently was in his own promotions main event. Mm-hmm. He looked good. I think. I mean, you see, he went shirtless and he still looked pretty good for being as old as he is.
So the final question I'll throw out to you is Ric Flair's last match. In your eyes, what you'll tell your kids in the future, what you'll always acknowledge his last match being. Is it the one this past weekend in Nashville, or is it WrestleMania 24 in Orlando?
I was thinking TNA. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
Or I mean, that's one too. But I think the reason for this match was to compensate for that match.
Realistically, it was the shot that I'll always remember is that sequence where Shawn Michaels says, "I'm sorry, I love you," and just hits him with the Sweet Chin Music. And that was over. That'll be the final memory.
I think I can think of this as WrestleMania 24 was the end of Ric Flair's in-ring career. His, month to month, day to day on Monday Night Raw, and all the, his essentially the end of his official career. And then TNA didn't ever happen. And then his last match that he had, unrelated to storyline, if you will, was in Nashville. And then essentially, like, Impact never happened. WWE, the end of his in-ring career. Nashville, his final appearance in a ring, I guess, period. And then nothing. Impact just never happened.
Yeah, no. Well, in many eyes, Impact didn't happen for not only Ric Flair, but a lot of superstars.
So that's the end of Ric Flair's last match, Mick Foley's last match, Booker T's last match. Only time will tell if we see those.
We'll take her get another one.
I mean,
hey, if the money shows up, hey, you never know.